0 to 1, Chapter 1, The Challenge of the Future. Whenever I interview someone for a job, I like to ask this question: what important truth do very few people agree with you? This question sounds easy because it's straightforward. Actually, it's very hard to answer. It's intellectually difficult because the knowledge that everyone is taught in a school is by definition agreed upon, and it's psychologically difficult because anyone trying to answer must say something she knows to be unpopular. Brilliant thinking is rare, but courage is in even shorter supply than genius. Most commonly, I hear that answer like following: our educational system is broken and urgently needs to be fixed. America is exceptional. There is no God. Those are bad answers. The first and the second statement might be true, but many people already agree with them. The third statement, simple, take one side in a familiar debate. A good answer takes the following forms. Most people believe in a familiar debate. A good answer takes the following form. Most people believe in X, but the truth is opposite of X. I will give my own answer later in this chapter. And what does it constrain questions have to do with the futures? In the most minimal sense, the future is simply the set of all moments set yet to come. And but what makes the future distinctive and important is not that it has not happened yet, but rather that it will be a time when the world looks different from today. In this sense, if nothing about our society changes radically in the next decades, then the future is hundreds years away. If things change radically in the next decade, then the future is nearly at hand. No one can predict the future exactly, but we know two things. It's nearly at hand. No one can predict the future exactly, but we know two things. It's going to be different, and it must be rooted in today's world. Most answers to the Conquerian question are different ways of seeing the present. Good answers are as close as we can come to looking into the future. 0 to 1, the future of progress. When we think about the future, we hope for the future of progress. That progress can be take one or two forms. Horizontal or extensive progress means copying things that work, going from 1 to n. Horizontal progress is easy and easy to imagine because we already know that it looks like. And vertical or intensive progress means doing new things, going from 0 to 1. Vertical progress is harder to imagine because it requires doing something nobody else has ever done. If you take one typewriter and build 100, you have made horizontal progress. If you have a typewriter and build a word processor, you have made vertical progress. At a micro level, the single word of horizontal progress is globalization, taking things that work somewhere and making them work everywhere. China is a paradigmatic example of globalization. Its 20-year plan is to become like the United States is today. The Chinese have been forwardly copying everything that has worked in the developed world, and 19th century railroad, 20th century air conditioning, and even entire cities. They might skip a few steps along the way, going straight to wireless without installing landlines or for instance, but they are copying all the same. The single wordful vertical is 0 to 1 progress is technology. The rapid progress of information technology in the recent decades has made Silicon Valley the capital of technology in general. But there is no reason why technology should be limited to computers. Properly understood, any new and better way to doing things is technology, because globalization and technology are different modes of progress. It's possible to have both, either or neither at the same time. For example, 1815 to 1914 was a period of both rapid technology development and rapid globalization. Between the first World War, the Kissinger-Ripon relation with China in 1971, there was rapid technological development but not much globalization. Since 1971, we have seen rapid globalization along with the limited technology development, mostly conformed to IT. This age of globalization has made it easy to imagine that the decade ahead will bring more convergence and more sumness. Even our everyday language suggests we believe in a kind of technological and in of history. The division of the world into the so-called developed or developing nation implies that the developed world has already achieved the achievable, and that poorer nation just need to catch up. But I don't think that's true. My own answer to the contrarian question is that most people think the future of the world will be defined by globalization. But the truth is that technology matters more. Without technological change, if China doubles its energy production over the next 2 decades, it will also double its air pollution. If everyone of India, hundreds of millions of thousands, were to live and which America already do, using only today's tools, the result would be environmentally catastrophic. Spreading old ways to create wealth around the world will result in devastation, not riches. In a world of scarce resources, globalization, because without new technology, is unsustainable. New technology has never been an automatic feature of history. Our ancestors lived in the static, zero-sum societies where success meant seizing things from others. They created new source of wealth only rarely. And in the long run, they could never create enough to save the average person from the extremely hard life. Then, after 10,000 years of fitful advance from the primitive agriculture to medieval windmill and the 16th century astro levels, the modern world suddenly experienced the relentless technological progress. From the advent of the steam engine in 1760s all the way up to about 1970s. As a result, we have inherited a richer society than any previous generation would have ever been able to imagine. Any generation accepting our parents and grandparents, that is in the late 1960s, they expected this progress to continue. They looked forward to 4-day work week, energy to cheap to measure, and vacation on the moon, but it didn't happen. The smartphone that distract from our surroundings also distract us from from the fact that our surroundings are strongly old. Only computer and communication have improved dramatically since mid-century. That does not mean our parents were wrong to imagine a better life. They were only wrong to expect it's something automatic. Today, our challenge is to both imagine and create the new technologies that can make the 21st century more peaceful and prosperous than the 20th century. A startup thinking. New technology tends to come from new ventures. A startup, from the founding fathers in politics to Royal Society in the science to Fairchild Semiconductor, Terrestrials aged in business, a small group of people bound together by a sense of mission have changed the world for the better. The easiest explanation for this is negative. It's hard to develop new things in big organizations, and it's even harder to do it by yourself. Bureaucratic hierarchy moves slowly, and enhanced interest shy away from the risk. In the most dysfunctional organizations, signaling that work is being done becomes a better strategy for career advancement than actually doing work. If this describes your company, you should quit now. At the other extreme, a genius might create a classic work of arts or literature, but he could never create an entire industry. A startup operates on a principle that you need to work with other people to get stuff done. But you also need to stay small enough to so that you actually can. Positively defined, a startup is the largest group of people who you can convince of a plan to build a different future. A new company's most important strength is the new thinking. Even more important than nimbleness, a small size affords a space to think. This book is about the questions you must ask and answer to succeed in the business of doing new things. What follows, if not a manual or a record of knowledge, but an exercise of thinking? Because that is what a startup has to do. Questions, received ideas, and think business from scratch. Thank you.